morning, everybody. I hope you're having a blessed day. As it's Sunday, I wanted to take a moment to talk about the divine. And I figured what a better place to start, instead of talking about one specific God or about, just instead of talking about one specific God, I wanted to talk about the divine energy and the difference between the divine energy in, let's say, Christianity or any other monotheistic religion and in paganism. So, we all know about the all-encompassing, omnipotent man, God, that is of the Bible. And this energy is, like I said, all-encompassing. And it's a really grand energy to be in one entity. When you switch over to looking at it from a pagan perspective, it's not one person, one entity, one God, one thing that is encompassing all of this energy. There is a flowing, universal, divine energy that flows through everything and all things, and it is constantly moving and transitioning and flowing, and it's this energy that is never ending and never beginning, but never just one thing. And it's got lots of little branches coming off of it. I always tell people when I talk to them at fairs about coming to paganism, I say, I believe that each person finds their divine in a way that the divine speaks to them best. Now, some people see this as Jesus, and some people see this as a three-headed dog. Most are somewhere in the middle, but there is a way that the divine energy will speak to you. There's a specific aspect of the divine energy that will speak to you. And we in this body, in this reality, in this presence, cannot even begin to contemplate the idea of the energy as it is. It's so grand and so minute and flowing through everything and flowing everywhere that to put words and descriptions on it from this reality could never do it justice. So one of the ways that we communicate with this energy, connect with this energy, and also communicate about this energy is through the many different aspects of the energy, which we then call gods. So there's a mother energy, and a maiden energy, and a page energy, and a sage, and a father, and a crone. There's aspects of death and life and birth, creation, and everything that is in the middle. There are gods that come from the forest, there are gods that come from the sea, there are goddesses that come from the sun and the moon, and both gods and all of those things and different kind of energies. And each one of these is just a representation. Now, sometimes these representations are by one person. You might have a vision, and in that vision you communicate with the divine energy, and it comes to you in a very specific way. Or this energy might communicate with a whole community. So you see like Greek mythology, or you see any kind of indigenous or native people's stories. The divine energy has spoke to that entire community. They have all felt it in this way. And then if you start looking at different communities and how they've connected with this is why we get the confusion of, is it Diana or Artemis? Is it... I'm not even going to go over the list. There's a long list. We could go through it, and I guess I'll make one more. Is it Freya or Hera, or is it Juno? Like, who, because they all kind of embody the same aspect of energy. So I like thinking about it as like the grand tree of divine energy, and the roots reach down to the gods of both birth and death, because you have to keep in mind that both birth and death come from the same place. This darkness, the womb, the great beginning, the nothing, the void, all of these things are one and the same, and are where both death and birth both come from. So that is the roots that reach down in the divine energy. This is gods of both death and light. So both Zeus and Hades reside there. Okay, let's not use Zeus as an example. I've learned some amazing things about language and the word Zeus, and that it's not necessarily it's like a surname. So, but we're not even sure on all of that. That's the crazy thing about learning about history, is that we, in this modern sense, do not understand, nor can we begin to understand without learning so much more. We're not going to go there. Right now we're talking about divine energy. So the divine energy comes out like this grand tree. And the birth and the death gods reside on the bottom. The birth gods also reach up with branches coming up towards the light to become then the father, to become then the mother. But her roots start in the ground, in the darkness. The mother goddess is both light and dark. She is the embodiment of both, because it is coming together for both that creates this new life. From the darkness, this new light begins, and therefore they are both one and the same together, and you can't have one without the other. So you can't separate the darkness out of the mother goddess. When we look at Hera and her aspects of both a wife and a mother, she is also vengeant and jealous, and she has all of these dark traits. Well, I think some of those are colored by more biblical writers. And I imagine if we went back in time, it was just the reality of the scene, and there might have been some other things going on that they left out. You have to keep in mind, again, when we're talking about history, that it's been very colored by Christianity, and that through that, it has colored all of the divine representations that we have. So when we say we practice the ways of the ancients, we would love to just do that. However, there was this great watercoloring of the world as Christianity spread, and the atlas is a great way to start. Look at the world from a different perspective and see an atlas that wasn't written by the Pope. Anyway, so do some research. Spark that curiosity. Learn something new. But back to the divine tree. So when we start connecting with those energies and we start seeing it as these different, okay, so we've got the mother role, we've got the father role, we've got the maiden, we've got the page, we've got the young lovers, we've got the beauty, we've got destruction, we've got all of these different roles that are part of nature that all come together, that are all represented by a different deity. And not all of, just like, no energy is in a vacuum. So you can't just have a mother energy. So most of the time, the mother goddesses are also going to be associated with something else. So you have a garden goddess, or you have a agricultural goddess, or you have a goddess of the woods, or you have a goddess of the water or the moon or whatever it may be, but they're also a mother, because there is no, you can't just pull that energy out like it's in a vacuum. It is a flowing, connecting, all around kind of energy. And so each god is going to pull out different aspects. So when it's time for you to start connecting with the divine and start thinking about who and what and when and all of those things that come into learning about a different deity, start by going inward and thinking about what you believe the divine is and what you seek in the divine. So for me, the first goddess that I ever connected with was the mother goddess Diana of the moon. I was in a very dark place. I very much needed some maternal guidance, but that was also strong and courageous. And Diana came to me, and very much the huntress goddess, the mother, and she's a strong warrior. She's not a gentle mother. She's a warrior mother, and that's what I really needed. And so when I called out to the divine, that came to me because that's what I needed. And then I went on and researched, and she's not necessarily the Diana that we know in the mythology. I know that, well, here's an interesting insight, whatever. So in my own mental temple, when I go to meet with the divine and I go to commune with them, I never see the faces of the divine. They don't have faces. If there's any kind of physical representation, I actually see their feet, and it reminds me of like the Rugrats movies. No, it's not Rugrats. whatever, whatever TV show from when we were kids, but all you saw were their feet, and the grown-ups never had a face; they only had feet. That's kind of how I see the divine. Uh, and even when I am, there have been many times when I have been doing work with the divine and they have come and I've like felt Diana's kiss on my cheek. I've had that God hold my hand, but even in that, he didn't have a face. He didn't have a "this is who I am." I could feel his energy. I could feel his presence. Same with Diana. I can feel her presence. But I don't necessarily get like, Wonder Woman. When I see her, I just see her energy, and it's different. And it's one of those things. Each person is going to connect with this divine energy differently, and therefore my experience is going to be much different than your experience. I've talked to people who have like face to face, like had a conversation with their divine, and they could describe them down to the freckles on their nose, and that's their experience because that's what they need in their spirituality, and that's how the divine is going to come to you. It's going to come to you in the way in which you need to see it, because it's here to work with you as an individual in the way that you need to work with it. So, like I said, instead of reaching out and seeking a God, know that the gods are already inside you. The energy of the divine flows through all things. Even the grill behind me that's man-made and all of those things, that divine energy is flowing through it. Your cell phone, the internet, the world, the air, everything. There is no place that the divine energy does not flow to. And so you don't need to reach out to seek it. You just need to know that it's there. You need to let go, like with most things, of the preconceived notions that you have that God is this thing, or the goddess is this thing, or the god and goddess are not this thing. Sometimes the things that we think they are not are the things that they become. Those are the things that we need in our own practice. And also, don't feel like you're going to work with the same divine energy forever. Diana will always be a part of my practice. I very much so need that strong energy to help me stay strong and to continue through and to work through the issues that I have from my past. And I'll probably always need that strength with me. And I think that everyone will come across some kind of strength deity that is your strength, that is your willpower, that is your help, that is your motivation, that is your guiding light. But I also work with a dark goddess, and I don't know what her name is. I want to say Morgan or Morgana. She's definitely more in that venue with the ravens and the crows, and also another warrior aspect, but more like Athena almost, with the noble and the... It's an interesting energy. And like I said, I haven't given it a name. It's not like Diana where it was just like clicked. Okay, yes. I have the statue of Diana where she is with the dog and the deer and the moon is behind her and she's bare-breasted and beautiful and just like, I'm a warrior goddess. And when I saw that, it's like, that's it. That is the prime representation of the energy that I connect with. And for the masculine energy, Cernuan was one of... the horned god was one that I started with, and I still connect with him. The sun god, the holly king, the oak king, these are all energies that I connect with and work with, and so it's not just one or the other. You do have to have both in your practice, because remember that these energies are all connected. That's why the gods, the divine, all seem to pair up. It makes me think of that Hancock movie that, like, as they pair up, that they die. Because those energies come together and then that's what shall be. And so but it's because they can't be taken apart from each other. They are a flowing, combined, intertwined, all of the divine energy. It's just like it's intertwined with your energy. And that's why that's all that you need to connect with it. So look inside for your divine, feel your divine, and then start reading mythology. I found the Mabinignon fantastic, just as a place to connect with a different, if you want to get away from the Hellenistic, because it's really easy to find Greek mythology, but the Mabinignon is great. There are also some great Nigerian myths that have great deity stories. Native Americans, Peruvian, Mayan, all of these places have great mythology where you can learn about their divine. And the more mythology that you read, the more that you see that you will find these same aspects of divine energy in all cultures. And like I was saying earlier, the confusion between Artemis and Diana, it's not that they are one and the same, but they both pull out the same divine energy from that, they both pull on that same mother warrior aspect. And as the two cultures intertwined, the cultures kind of blended them together and saw them as one and the same. The Romans did a really good job, and one of the ways when they took over is that they just assumed other people's deities. They were like, that's fine, bring your gods with you, bring them with you, bring them with you. So when you look into Roman literature, like throughout the progression of Rome, they do get more and more and more gods, because they didn't not until the end when they decided that they were Christian, but before that they didn't dismiss someone's deities. It was one of the ways that they used to help them conquer, but also expand their religion and all of those things. So mostly about conquering and the reality of it. But when it comes to talking about the deities, it's very important that you let that energy kind of flow and don't get stuck on one description, because everyone's going to describe. It's just like a picture. If we all saw the same picture, we would all say something different about it, because there are 1,000 ways to describe that one picture. And that's the same with the divine energy. So find the divine energy in yourself, find some mythologies, then find some more, and find some more, and find some more, and read and learn, and then spend more time with your divine, however that may be. I greet the sun in the morning. Right now I'm saying hello to the baby birds. They're not babies anymore, I guess they're adolescent birds, and connecting with the divine through animals and through my garden. I very much so connect with the mother goddess of earth, which is a different goddess than the earth goddess. To me is more of a grandmother energy. This is like the spider grandmother. This is the grandma that always bakes you cookies. It's got that warm, loving embrace. That is mother goddess of the earth, grandmother goddess. Like that young, hip grandma who always bakes cookies and is great to hang out with. That's how I see her. But I always connect with that energy while I'm gardening and having my hands in the dirt. And that's when I feel her energy. Going out into the woods, you feel the energies of this maiden and page god and goddess. And you feel that youthful energy in the divine. But also the sage and the crone and that wise energy that is off in the dark, or of the dying trees. Oh, it's just everywhere. Okay, so I could go on all day. Go out, experience some divine energy. Experience the divine energy in yourself, and don't get stuck on one, I follow this, because most of us left Christianity because we didn't want to follow one God. Don't get stuck in that same mentality as you come to this new faith. Let your pagan faith grow and let your curiosity be your guide, and just go with it. Go with the flow. Listen, feel, experience, talk to the gods, see who talks back, and have a blessed Sunday. I hope that the divine energy comes to you and fills your heart with joy and your whole self with content, happiness, and may you have a blessed day. Don't forget to like and subscribe and all that great stuff. You can find me on Twitter and Facebook and all that stuff, I guess. Yeah, so have a good day and blessed be.